Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we have the Duels update video for you today. This has been a long-awaited update, really ever since Jack-o'-lantern's post. We've been waiting for this update. Now, in this video we're going to be going through the update, and then we are going to ask a few members of the community what their opinions are about the update and how their initial response is. Let's get into it. Okay, I'm gonna make this quick. If you want to see the full forum post, I will leave it in the description because I'm only going to be covering the main points. The update is named War and Spleef, adding 3 new modes and completely changing the division reward system. They've added Bed Wars duels, Spleef duels, and Skykrypt duels, and classic 2v2. There's 2 sub-modes for Bed Wars, normal Bed Wars and Bed Wars Rush duels. What you're seeing on screen now is normal Bed Wars duels, and then the Bed Wars Rush duels is literally the exact same thing as Mindmen's Bed Wars whatever. It's just the same exact thing. Spleef duels, it's on a platform that's slightly bigger than a sumo platform without snow. And then Skykrypt duels, it's first player to 6, and it's a 1-on-1. Now, the Duelist Odyssey. The Duelist Odyssey is the new division's reward system, and it's kind of like a progression system, where every time you rank up, so iron to gold, gold to diamond, you will gain a new reward. And this works for every single one. There's rewards for for every division, for every mode. So, no lack of rewards. Now, some changes they've made are they've added a lot of new prefix icons, prefix schemes, and then more cosmetic titles. They've also changed the scoreboard and how that works to where you can customize it to show one specific game mode instead of only being able to show your overall game mode. Now they've removed bridge 4-way 2v2, 3v3, and CTF3s. They've also removed Mega Walls 2v2. Now the big thing is they removed bold wins to 50,000 wins. You need to have 50,000 wins to have your title bold, which I think is kind of steep, but can't do much about it. They've added new Bed Wars maps, not Bed Wars maps, bridge maps, Skywars maps, sumo maps, and a parkour theme, and a bunch of bug fixes. So if you want to read that, just go down in the description and open the forum post. Now let's hear from our 3 guests, I guess. Yeah, guests. And hear what they think about the update. Okay, our first guest is going to be Pixelmaster, who has been very vocal about his hate for the removal of 4-way 2v2 and bridge. 2v2 and 3v3. Can't really talk about all of Duels, but he's played bridge and bow spleef, so that's what this part's going to be about. There's been a plethora of suggestions given to the Hypixel admin team over the last several years that should be added. Specifically, when Motor Gorilla, the Duels or the minigames developer, asked for dual update ideas, I went back and assembled a thread of things to add that considered many different types of people's best interests. All of these items, it also considered the few people like myself who liked the dead games and wanted them to be given at least one update in order for it to live. We did not get any of these items. We got 5 new maps that, according to Ray Dragonfly, Hypixel somehow managed to make 5 more Paliestros, this is the worst map. 2 new cages, which is technically new content that people did ask for. However, they also removed currently existing cages, so that's a net gain of 0. Also, upon removing the modes, they did temporarily remove stats, but they did restore them. The problem with that is they solidified all the boost bot stats forever. Deadass, the only reason why fossilized 2v2 Mega was removed was because boost of the boosted stats in that mode. Specifically, so not only do we lose the modes, but there is zero chance that Hypixel staff will go back and actually do anything about the thousands upon thousands of games artificially played. Hypixel staff team has been too complacent whenever they do decide to give the community something. I'll link this thread as well in the description. This was right after the update, and this was his annoyance with the 4 teams 3v3 and 4v4 or 2v2, I think. So, and then he quotes the thing here. He talks about how PremQ, the best bridge 1v1 and 2v2 or group at the time, that's the only people Hypixel consulted when making the 2021 update, which meant only not all modes got a fair chance. The problem was that after adding these modes, after the initial hype of the modes being out, the queues collapsed, and then the advisors that Hypixel was asking to were creating servers like Bucky Tour and Bridge Scrims, which Hypixel was taking advice from its own server competition. And then how it looks like they took advice from random achievement point hunters than actual Duels/Bridge members as a whole. He talks about how and what's his evidence for that. And then this is the link. Thanks Pixel for giving me your opinion, and now let's move on to our second guest of the video. The next guest will be the 16-figure limit, so let's hear from him.
I think the main premise of the Duels update is good. I'm glad they added a lot of new content. Unfortunately, I think it was very rushed. There's so many bugs in the game, and even just the update, the admins still haven't patched. There's a lot of stuff with the new modes. I remember in Quake Duels, there was a ton of stuff you could shoot through walls, and you'd randomly gain or lose kills. The Bed Wars Duels, there still are a ton of issues. You can't access the layout editor, so you have to stick with the default loadouts. With the title system, I think they made it a lot worse. They made it a lot harder to configure what title you want to have on and what prefix to use and what color to make it. And I think your titles are permanently stuck to the same color as the prefix, so you can't have a godlike title show up as purple if you're using a yellow prefix, which I think kind of detracts from what most people consider a title to be worth. As for new maps, I like a lot of them. In Bridge, I think they did a actually pretty bad job because the new maps were good, and then on the second day of the update they changed the build limits to make them, I think, a lot worse. The only other new maps I played have been in Sumo, which I mean they're all fine, and Skywars Duels, where some of them are fine, but most of them it's really easy to knock people off. And that's just not the case on many, if any, of the old maps, so I think that kind of sucks. Classic Doubles, I think, is a good premise. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be filled with cheaters for like a good bit of time before they all move on to something else, so it's relatively unplayable at the moment. More about modes, removing 4 teams bridge was not cool. I think a lot of people put a lot of time into grinding that, and their logic for removing it seems sound. I think they said something about it was the least played mode of the last 6 months, they removed it, but still, I think there's probably better ways of going about it than dismissing hundreds of thousands of hours of playtime and effort put in by people. I think they could have done a little bit more to try and keep the game mode alive before they completely removed it. The last thing I actively don't like is the fact they kind of just switched the NPCs around. This is somewhat petty, but I find myself constantly walking to the right side of the map when I want to play Bridge. And obviously, yeah, it's not on the right anymore.
classic Duels way too many times for my liking.
Yup. Aside from that, I don't think there is a whole lot to talk about. I mean, it's a good premise. I think they rushed it. They should have done a lot more playtesting. They probably could have asked for a lot more feedback as well, although they did ask for some. Yeah, I mean, even if they just got some people to, I don't know if playing the update's worth, like, I don't know if playing the update's something they want to do, but if that is something they'd be down to do, I think asking some people who have a good opinion to play some of the modes and playtest, bug fix, give balancing opinions, I think the update would have benefited a lot from that. But at this point, any update's going to be at least somewhat good, because it's been like 3-4 years since we've had any kind of Duels update. So it's good that it happened. Could have been a lot better, but it's not awful. I don't think it's the best update that's ever happened, but it's, yeah, far from the worst.
All you have to say?
That's probably all I have to say.
Thank you, the 16-figure limit, for giving your opinions. So I think that's going to be all for this video. Please let me know your thoughts on the Duels update down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.